Good morning and welcome to your Meet Your Future campaign. My name's Sarah and I'm part of the Education Work and Skills team at Greater Manchester Combined Authority. I'm also joined by my colleague Diane, who's behind the scenes as my co-host. For those of you who've joined us before, you might be aware that Meet Your Future was launched in April 2019 by Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester, to enable more young people like you to meet and connect with different businesses and employers to explore lots of different roles and careers. This week is National Careers Week and our theme for this week is careers in the public sector. Did you know that the public sector employs 5.7 million people across the country? From our hospitals to transport, national government to local government, it's the industry that keeps life moving. Have you ever thought about a career within the NHS, for example, or working in politics? These are careers within the public sector, and our Meet Your Future live sessions this week will introduce you to jobs and careers that you will have heard of and lots of jobs and careers that will be new to you. Could one of these be in your future? In this session today, you'll hear from Jayne Jeffrey from Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service. Hopefully this session will inform you, inspire you, and highlight why you can be hopeful and optimistic about your future in Greater Manchester. Please make use of the question box and for any questions or thoughts you might have throughout the session. You will see this on the right-hand side of my screen and my co-host will be publishing any questions that come through. Please ask your teacher to put any questions you have into this box and don't be shy, and we'll cover these in the Q&A section at the end. If you'd like to use captions or subtitles during the event, please select Captions Subtitles On in your video controls. I'll now hand over to you, Jayne. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. So hi, thanks for the intro. I'm Jayne Jeffrey. I'm with Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service. There are many roles available within Greater Manchester Fire. Today I'm here to speak to you about the role of a firefighter and hopefully inspire you to think about having this as a career option for you in the future. Thanks. As it says there, I've just introduced, I'm Jayne Jeffrey. I am the Firefighter Attraction Lead. So it also says I'm a watch manager. What that means is I have been with Greater Manchester Fire for just over 20 years now. I spent 20 years as an operational firefighter and the last 18 months I've been in the role as Firefighter Attraction Lead. What is Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service? Who are we? What do we do? Let's have a look at that next slide. So it's one of the largest fire and rescue services outside of London. We have 41 stations and they are covering approximately 500 square miles across our 10 different boroughs that you can see on the map there in front of you. We do have a variety of incidents that we turn out to because of the infrastructure we have. We've got international airport, trains, trams, we've got many water sources, we've got rivers, canals, reservoirs, and we are surrounded by moorlands. So we do turn out a lot to our moorland fires. So with regards to variety, Greater Manchester Fire does hold a lot of variety in the type of incidents we turn out to. Thanks, Diane. So to deal with those incidents, we don't have just fire engines. We don't just put out fires. We have a lot of our specialist vehicles as well. So these vehicles are strategically placed around Greater Manchester. You'll see a lot of these vehicles that I'm going to speak about have got two locations, and that's so that we can cover opposite ends of Greater Manchester with that vehicle. Not only does it cover that area, it means we can turn out and respond quite quickly to those incidents should we need to. The TRU, that's got quite a large, a lot of equipment for dealing with any persons involved. So if it's in a RTC, for instance, a road traffic collision, you'll find a technical rescue unit will turn up to that and have all the heavy equipment to actually deal with that. The wildfire unit, we've just spoke about our moorlands that we're surrounded by. So we have wildfire units in Stalybridge and over in Bolton North, because that's the locality of most of our moorland fires that we deal with. I don't want to run through all of these, and these slides are available to you afterwards for you to go back to, but there's a huge variety there that I'm sure if you want to ask any questions, I can go back to them just at the end. Thanks, Diane. So I am here to speak to you about the day in the life of a firefighter and what that looks like. I think we do think it's around just putting out fires. We have a lot of other things that we do within our day. So today I'm going to speak to you now a little bit more in depth about what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to start with those shift patterns. We do a 4-day shift is how it works, 4 days, which is over 2 days and 2 nights. Following your 2 days and your 2 nights, you're then off for 4, and another watch will pick up those 4 days, whilst you then have your downtime to then pick back up with 2 days and 2 nights following that. So that watch system is 4 watches. We've got red watch, white, blue and green watch, and we are continually working. We work 365 days and we work around the clock 2 days and 2 nights. How does that day look? Well, it starts at 8:30. I'm going to do a typical day as opposed to a typical night shift with a change of watch. And it is still a little bit of a military base that we are a discipline service. So we start with a parade at 8:30, which means if you were on red watch, for instance, you would stand on parade in the engine house, which is where we keep our vehicles, and have all your kit there ready to turn out. We can turn out literally at 08:30 and 10 seconds. We do what we call the bells drop. If the bells drop, then that's it. You grab your kit, you grab your personal protective equipment, you jump onto the fire engine, which we know as a pump. So if you hear me saying the word pump, that's our fire engine, and we will turn out. If that doesn't happen and we're there and we are just having our normal change of shift without turning out, we'll look at doing an appliance check. So that means looking at every single piece of equipment in all of our lockers, in all of our toolkits, inside and out. And we have to test everything, make sure everything's working, it's clean. If it's been used and this battery's low, then it's all replenished. So everything has to be ready to go at 08:30. So we'll spend a good hour just checking every single piece of equipment, and we do that every day and we do that every night because you are responsible for that equipment once you sit on that fire engine. We may do a few short drills following that, which is put some ladders up, just have a quick recheck. Lance, that's one of our very high pressure hose systems. So we'll check the lance, we'll also check the hose, make sure the water's coming through. Make sure the pump has got a full tank of water ready to use should we need it. We'll have a little morning break, and after that, physical training. I'm going to speak a little bit more about physical training on a couple of the other slides, but that's something that's really important, and we must keep ourselves physically fit throughout our career. We'll then do some more training, might be on the drill yard, might be in a lecture theatre, so we'll do a little bit of combined training after our morning break. In the afternoon, we'll go out in our community and do our community work, and this will be maybe safe and wells where we'll fit smoke alarms in people's homes. We'll do school visits, we'll do school chats like we're doing right now, and we'll then look at our campaigns, be it the Safe for Summer or Safe for Autumn campaign. Our OIS visits are operational intelligence, so we need to know in our local area what risks we may turn out to, be it factories or mills or hospitals, and we have to gather that information. Following that, we've still got our own learning, so our personal learning that we've got to keep up with every 3, 6 and 12 months. So we have to go back to that before we prepare our station ready for the change of watch at that night shift at 7 o'clock at night. I just have to add in there, if we turn out at any point during that day, it's down tools, it's down food, whatever it is you're doing at that point. If you're in PT, you stop, we turn out obviously, and we may return then back to that typical day. Thanks, Diane. So what does it look like? It's quite an in-depth process, and all these things are available for you to have a look at afterwards, and they're all available on our website. The process can take up to 6 months. As you can see, there's quite a lot that you have to go through. The 2 elements I just want to go a little bit further into, and that's about your fitness. So if it is something that you're thinking, maybe I might be interested in this, then right now you need to be making sure you are looking at getting physically fit. So we do a bleep test, which I'm going to speak a little bit further on, and we also do maths and English is another element I want to just go over. So what I'm going to do is going to get Diane, if you can just click to that next slide, and we'll have a little look about what a bleep test looks like. You may have done it in school. Ours is a 20-metre shuttle run and the level is 8.8. So if it is something you're interested in, please do go ahead and start training with your running with that bleep test now. Strength training is another element that we do need to work really hard on. You do have to have good upper body strength. So some really good weight training and functional training is important. Thanks, Diane. So there is quite a lot to go over with regards to the apprenticeship and that initial recruits course. If we can flick through to that next slide, the initial training is a 16-week course and it's very intense. So I'm going to leave that with you there to have a read on afterwards or ask questions on. I'm going to speak to you now about that firefighter apprenticeship. It's a level 3 in operational firefighter apprenticeship that you would get at the end of 2 years. What you do need to achieve by the end of your apprenticeship is a level 2 functional skills in maths and English. So if it's something you are thinking about, you'd certainly need to have a level 1 to come into the process. So start having a little look at your maths and English right now if this firefighter apprenticeship is something you may be interested in. Thanks, Diane. I think that brings us nicely on to any questions. Sarah, shall I hand over to yourself there?
Jayne, that was absolutely amazing. That was really, really interesting. I loved hearing absolutely everything about that. And I didn't actually realise how varied the actual role was, because you think about firefighting and all the types of things that you cover when you're firefighting, but you didn't realise about the community side of things. Personally, I didn't realise that how much school engagement and how you were actually about preventative measures, about going into the house, like the houses, as well as dealing with the actual fires as well. So amazing. We have had a question and we have had, when do your apprenticeship schemes open?
So if you went back to that recruitment process slide, the expression of interest is live all year round. So you can express an interest at any point in the year. And what that will do is then we'll start to feed you information around what your next steps are and when to come onto a taste today. So we are live all year round because we are currently recruiting 3 to 4 courses per year, and that's for the next couple of years.
Amazing. And we've just had another question from St Monica's saying, what is the pay for the average firefighter?
So it changes from when you join onto that initial recruits course, and it's currently around about 24,000 when you join onto your initial course. So the 16 weeks on day 1, you are paid. Following your 16-week course, you'll then go into what's called a trainee firefighter whilst you're in your apprenticeship. And this jumps up only around about 26,000 per year. Once you've finished your apprenticeship as a competent firefighter, it's approximately 32,000 per year.
Well, that's an amazing salary for an amazing job. We've also had another question here. Is there anything in particular someone at school can do to help them to become a firefighter?
Great question. So absolutely, just covered it at the end there with regards to maths and English. If you can get that bit done initially, that's great. Basically, it saves you thinking about doing it in that apprenticeship because you do need to achieve that. Otherwise, it's around that fitness, and it's never too soon to start. You do have to be 18 to come on to an apprenticeship with Greater Manchester Fire, but it's worth looking at your physical strength and your fitness right now.
Fantastic. And we've just had another one, which is quite an interesting one. Does having asthma stop you from being a firefighter?
No, it doesn't, but we do have to look at every individual medical case for that person. So it definitely doesn't stop you, but what we do is we have occupational health that will look at that and see where you are at with your asthma and if it's controlled, and generally it's a no, but like I say, it's something you do need to look at for your individual medical circumstances.
Oh, thank you for that. And somebody from St Monica's has said, do you enjoy your job? Is it fun?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've done this now. Like I say, it's just under 20 years I was operational. During that time, 10 years, such a variety of jobs. Then the next 10 years I was kind of dipping in and out because I was having children, and but then I've returned to firefighting even as a mum with 3 young children, and I absolutely love it. Yes.
Amazing. Now we've got loads more questions, but we're not going to have time to do them. So what we'll do is we'll send out question and answers at the end of this, and we'll ask Jayne some more questions. But it leaves me today to say thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found the session useful. You can keep up to date with all things Meet Your Future at GMAX, and the link is now on the screen. And GMAX is your Greater Manchester Apprenticeship and Careers Service platform, where you can find out about lots more about careers, apprenticeships and opportunities open to you. Many of you will already be using this, and speak to your teachers to find out more. You'll see a QR code for feedback on the screen, and we'd love for you to feedback on this session if you're allowed to scan the QR code on your phone in your class. If you can't do this now, as we know you're not allowed your phones in schools, don't worry, we'll be sending out a feedback form too to your teachers to complete next week. There'll be one for your teachers to complete too, and it's really important for us to get your feedback, as then we know if your Meet Your Future sessions are helpful for you and how we can improve them in your future. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks Jayne for an amazing session. Have a fantastic morning.